Good morning, Monmouth County. It's your host with the most, Montez Swartz. Thanks for coming in to the first ever episode of Monmouth Talks. We're going to be interviewing 3 noted community members today. One, a small business, another one, an elected official, and third, a jazz talent. Are you guys excited? Because I am. And this is how we'll be filming each of our episodes. 3 noted people. One, either a small business or nonprofit. One, a local leader. And then third, a musical guest. Are you guys ready? Because I know I am. But before we start, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you want to keep seeing content like this. Okay, guys, let's get to the video. We have a great show for you guys today. Guest speaker, Committeeman Stroud from Neptune, New Jersey, and the Gen Z jazz player, Jonah Chalnick. But first up, CEO of our own candle company, Ashley Burgos. How are you doing today?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good.
So let's talk about the inspiration for your company. Apparently, it wasn't always a candle company, correct?
Correct. So Beach Bum Beauty started off in 2019, and it started off as eyelashes. And not a lot of people know that, but when they ask about the name, that's when it comes into play that we talk about the origins of Beach Bum Beauty. So 2019, I started Beach Bum Beauty, and I decided, looking at social media, that I could do whatever I wanted to do, entrepreneurial-wise. So I decided, seeing all these people on social media being an entrepreneur, that I was going to start my own eyelash company. And that didn't really work out well. That was not something that I was passionate about. I don't wear eyelashes. I don't wear makeup like that. So doing something like that was just to get myself into that type of entrepreneurial start. So I quickly decided that was not for me, and I decided to go another route. And I had to figure out what I was passionate about and what did I like. And that turned out to be candles. So after 2 years of doing extensive testing, I was finally able to come up with the formula that's able to be used on your skin. So that's how Beach Bum Beauty came about, where the candles turn into a massage oil that you can use on your skin.
That's great. What was something you would say you learned? Because we all learn things from failure. So what do you think you learned from that experience?
That if your heart and your mind is not in it, then you have to redirect yourself. You find something that you are passionate about, because that's what is going to drive your business.
That's great. That's great. What do you think helped you change from eyelashes to candles, like some inspirations?
I was inspired by what I am into, which is health and wellness. So it was not technically the beauty industry where it would be eyelashes or makeup, but more of a health or wellness product that you can use on your skin, and it will help you with anxiety and stress relief.
Because we're going through like a crazy mental health crisis right now.
Absolutely.
As a country, and just as overall, as like our whole world is kind of like all of our mental healths are deteriorating.
Yes.
And it's really good that a product is coming along. Is there anyone that helped you hone in on that, I would say?
So my own personal experiences with anxiety and dealing with grief and stress has been the reason why I have thrown myself more into my business and to using my product. I did experience a loss very close to me 2.5 years ago, where I lost my fiance, and that was one of the reasons why I decided to continue going with Beach Bum Beauty, and I could see what it has done for myself personally, and I know that my candle will be able to do that for other people. Dealing with grief and anxiety and stress are not easy mental health things that we all come across, but to find a product or something that you're able to use to help alleviate that in some way. So for me, using my candle daily, just taking that 5-10 minutes to relax and unwind, that really helped me in my journey, and I know that other women and other people would be able to do the same.
And I'm sorry for your loss. And I'm
Thank
a personal user of your product. I just
Thank
bought
you.
it. And let me tell you guys, it is a great product for you guys to invest in and to get into. It heats up really quickly, and the wax, it doesn't really burn you. It's a really soft feeling on you Because like when you think of candle wax, you think, oh, it's gonna hurt, but like you put it
Yes.
on you and it's really soft and comforting.
Yes.
And I'm really great that you had the time for us to come on our show
Absolutely.
today. I'm glad that we highlighted your product.
Thank you.
And I hope the best for your organization and your company.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a good day.
Thank
you for coming on
too.
today.
Thank you so much.
Next up, Derel Stroud, Committeeman from Neptune, New Jersey. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You were invited to the DNC?
Yes, for work, and I was also just going as a regular person. So
That's great. Okay, so there's a lot that can be said about the DNC. It was a 3-day event, but we're gonna keep it short by just asking you your favorites of the event. First off, who was your favorite speaker?
okay, and again, that's an unfair question because there were too many amazing speakers, but I would have to go with Congresswoman Crockett, Jasmine Crockett from Texas. She was just amazing. I mean, she's also on my top 5 favorite
Politicians? Oh, okay.
Public servants. I like
Public
to call them.
okay, no, that's fair.
Some folks are politicians, some are public servants. So
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. That's actually earlier we were having this conversation about that distinction with about the senator race that's going on right now with Andy Kim versus oh my God,
Curtis Bradshaw.
Curtis Bradshaw. Yep, him.
Something like
And Curtis Bradshaw is arguing that Kim is not a public servant and he's a politician. And that's like a big thing about that discussion between a politician and a public servant that's going on. And what do you think is like the big difference between a politician and a public servant?
I mean, I think we can look at folks most often and see the difference. Those that are, out doing the work in the community, showing up for the vulnerable communities, showing up for those that showed up for them. And then you have the politicians who, tend to, in my opinion, look down on folks and, look at themselves as, in a higher bracket at this point because they were elected.
Elitism is the word that people
Yes,
are
yes,
liking
like-
to use now.
And so, I think that, not to be partisan, but if you want to make comparison, I mean, I think the guy that was in a suit, on the Capitol floor cleaning up after the insurrection would be the public servant. So.
Okay, yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. So second, favorite celebrity cameo?
Whew. I mean, it's got to be Ashanti. Since I've been younger, she's always been like my favorite celebrity. Now it's a little difficult because I'm like friends with her family, and so I see her pretty often. So it's a little strange now. It's more like a family member versus a celebrity, and I'm like, every time I see her, though, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. This is like a real life moment. But
That's amazing.
she still holds that title.
And then third, last one about the DNC, musical guests, because the DNC had so many musical segments. Like, it was crazy. Like, not talking badly about RNC, but like they kind of stayed in a similar genre the entire time. But the DNC really pulled it out with what state did a whole segment for?
It was Georgia.
You have
with
Georgia.
I mean, I think it was the great comparison of a funeral versus a sports event. I mean, it was a lot of excitement, and that's what you need to, especially when we talk about like the Gen Z folks. If you want to get their attention, you have to kind of meet them where they are. And some folks may say, "Oh, it's corny. You're bringing in all of these celebrities." Well, that's what attracts younger people.
It engaged people.
And it engages them. And so, for me, to go a little bit on the older part of the spectrum, I think Stevie Wonder was amazing.
Oh my God.
Patti LaBelle was great too. I mean, there were a lot of really good artists, but I would have to go with Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorites.
It was crazy. Because you don't think of politics and fun, and like they really made it fun. But going on to the next part of the conversation is kind of the post DNC world of kind of felt like a lot of us were pushed back into like reality of it, of Kamala calling Trump weird and Trump calling her everything, and it just made it like stressful. And like back to like this like full-on conversation that we're having today about political anxiety or just election anxiety period. How do Gen Z, and like Gen Z, one of our main thing is mental health. That is something that we care about. That's something that we keep focused on to ourselves. And how do we stay focused with our mental health, but also go into stressful things like civic engagement period is stressful because we have to all agree, there's a problem going on, And that's stressful because like for a lot of us, like 40% of Gen Z, a new statistic just came out, are quitting their job because of quote unquote the vibe of the place and the environment of it. And so how do we keep that generation engaged with a place where honestly the vibes aren't it?
I mean, it's tough. It's tough to keep people engaged in a process where it seems like it's like a back and forth constantly. But I like to look a lot further than that and just look at the problems that we have. One, we know that mental health is one of our main problems. And I think it spills outside of Gen Z into millennials and Gen X, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things that I'd done through COVID, when COVID first started, was I started a mental health group for people, you know, pretty much 18 and older. 18 and older because it was on social media. And, you know, there's a lot of heavy stuff that people carry. I think when we relate it to politics, people are scared. People are nervous. We don't really know what to expect on November the 5th. We don't know what to expect policy-wise, no matter who wins, right? Because we all know that a lot of times you see folks say what they have to say to get into the office. I don't think that that's the case with our current, current Democratic candidate and Vice President Harris, but we see that a lot. And so I think people are nervous as to where are we going to end up on November the 5th. And it is stressful, and it is, it pulls on the strings of your heart sometimes. And, there's really no right or wrong answer to it. But, I just like to remind people that therapy is okay, right? It's okay not to be okay. I like to see a therapist every chance that I get, and I've been bad at it. I was going monthly, and then I kind of just like stopped. But we can't allow work and other things to get in our way of that because we need to be able to dump, all of the things that are on our minds and bothering us. We need to be able to dump that off somewhere and talk to someone about it. But we also need to, understand that elections have consequences and, policies matter, right? I'm not going to get too much into it, but if we look at, the Supreme Court, right now, it's very, very conservative.
It was a result of the 2016 election, and it's just like farther than like people were thinking about. Of like people were just thinking of like instant gratification, which is also something that like people are thinking about with their election right now. Of like they think that it's going to be this instant switch going on, but in reality, it's things that are literally the future of the country, not what happens January, but what happens beyond that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a long game, right? You get in and you got to kind of figure out what's next, clean up the mess or, redevelop what came before you. So it will take some time no matter, what happens. But we just have to stay focused and I don't want to sound selfish, but pay attention to what's going on in our lives as far as our mental health and our well-being, right? The last guest talked about health and wellness. That's huge, right? You see many employers are starting to incorporate that into their handbooks, their policies, whether it be free gym or, flex time for you to take a day off during the week and, maybe work extra time on another day. That's where people are now.
And also colleges are being self-aware, college and school. Here at Brookdale Community College, we have our wellness center, and that also gives us free therapy as well.
Absolutely.
So organizations like that, it's like really helpful that everyone's becoming more self-aware. And that's why, even though you did say that all generations now currently, I'm saying that Gen Z is kind of the ones that are like, we want it. We want it. We want this. This is how we want the world to be. And we want us to be self-conscious about like, we're not just workers. Because like, that's really something that we see in our society of like this concept of work and keep working and keep doing. But like, we're people. And it's like, I'm not a cog in a machine. You know what I mean? I'm a human being and I deserve to be treated like one.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think we have Gen Z to thank for that because as we came out of COVID and even as we were in COVID, you've seen a lot of companies start to change the policies and the way that they do things. Like, hey, we're going to give you a free gym membership. You can work from home on Fridays. You can do these things. Because quite frankly, people were just getting up and saying, okay, I'm not going to work here anymore because my mental health is not being addressed. My work-life balance is not being addressed. So I'm going to go start my own business, right? And sell candles or do lashes, right? Those types of things that your generation has decided, hey, we're not going to be stuck in the 9 to 5 cycle of things and, live miserably and never make it to where we want to make it to. So
you know what does scare me a little? When a job says, "Oh, we give you free therapy," like, what am I doing here that I need free therapy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I do like it, but it's just like regular Starbucks employees get free therapy and free Spotify, which is good, and it's like you're starting to see major companies becoming more aggressive and being like, we'll give you stuff. Like, we're starting to give you more and more. And I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And it's keeping them competitive to like these small businesses that are coming that people are really focusing on. Even both candidates of our senator race are extremely small business oriented. And I'm really liking that push in New Jersey of small businesses that are coming along.
I mean, you're starting to see the shift because, like I said, people got up and said, we don't want to work here anymore. We're going to start our own thing. And so the public servants / politicians have to now find a new way to attract a new crowd. It's like, okay, we have to go learn and talk to these small business
I'd rather work for myself. I'd rather work for myself. Like, it's just like, why am I working for this no-face company of like these no-face people, these like the CEO I'll never meet, and if I quit, I'm gonna get replaced. And it's just like, people are also thinking about their legacy now. And it's just like, is my legacy going to be, because like we're in the age of social media and like where everybody has their footprint now, is my footprint gonna be me in this office? Or it's gonna be what I left behind, what I created, what company I made, what speech what I did, where I spoke at, what I did, a big thing is really just about like, especially like, is there going to be a statue of me, which is a big thing, because like we're having statues of people that have been around, although not all of them are the best people, but they did something that made them get a statue. And I think that's what people want now. They want, I call it the statue life, of something that is determined by like what you physically leave behind, and statues are one of those things that are just there forever. And it's like, what are you going to leave that's going to be there forever, which also relates back to mental health of, am I going to be forgotten? And then that whole stressful thing. And it's just, it's an intense time right now, but I think like what you were saying, and I definitely agree, is that we have to stay civically engaged and we have to pay attention. And do you think that I think it is, but do you think that the presidential race is negatively affecting local communities of state, county, and local elections, where it's like people are paying attention, but we as New Jersey know we're voting for Kamala. We all know we're voting for Kamala. But then, we're still talking and still having those discourse, but like, what about our senator race? What about our county commissioner? What about our local stuff? And it's just like, I feel like those are getting overshadowed, and people don't even know who's running. And so people are going to be going into these like voting booths, there for Kamala and Trump, but then there's a whole list of other people. And it's like, do I just leave those empty, or do I just click randomly? And then like, what is democracy at that point if we vote randomly?
Right. So I think politics can be sort of like a two-way street. I mean, listen, I think it's up to the elected official to meet their community where they are, point blank period, right? But I also think that as community members, we have a responsibility to go out there and say, okay, who is my elected official locally? Who is representing me on the county level? Who do I have to deal with at the state? Because when we don't, we're giving them a pass, right? And so if we want to get stuff done, we need to know who the players are. We need to know who to hold accountable, right? And so do I think that the presidential election is overshadowing local politics? Not in Neptune. I think we got enough drama to overshadow the presidential election. But on a more serious note, I think it is in some communities, but it's only in those communities, I think, where the public officials aren't working for you. Because there's no reason and no way that there's 50 states in this country, right, that the president has to run in and deal with and you can't get to the door or to the phone or to the mailbox of one of your residents in your local town, to me, it's pathetic. And so I think it's on them to make themselves known. I mean, I've done it. People know that I'm running in Neptune. They know my name is on the ballot, right, with Kamala.
See your name everywhere.
Right. They've gotten letters, right? They see the signs. They see all these things. But I think sometimes people take it for granted. Oh, I don't have anyone running against me. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to knock doors. I'm not going to make phone calls. And so people will go out and blindly vote for that person, but they've done nothing to educate their community. They've done nothing to make sure that people know that they're running. I think this is a time, a year where we know everybody pays attention to what's going on at the White House or what's going on the ballot when it comes to presidential candidates. But it's local politics that matters, right? Kamala Harris is not going to lower or raise your property taxes in Neptune, right?
Yeah.
She's not going to, change the way that your recycling is picked up, right? They're just going to make sure that federal money is funded down to the states and et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I work for a member of Congress, and so I see how the federal government affects our local communities, right? And in that district, Trenton is one of the towns, and so Trenton was just given a grant, right, for roads and parks and all of those things. And so when we talk about, programs and funding, right, that's really the important stuff that comes from the federal government. But if you're looking for Kamala Harris to fill your potholes, I'm sorry, but I got news for you. That's not happening. But it could be, a result of funding that comes from the federal government. So I like to say that that your budget reflects your priorities. And that poverty is a policy choice. So, so those members of Congress that we're electing and the person that we put in the White House, we need to make sure that they're reflecting of our values and those things that we care about most.
Mm-hmm. And so how, going from that conversation about paying attention of local politics, how do you feel that Gen Z is heavily focused on international affairs and national affairs? And a lot of us, I mean, me, I pay attention to local. I go to township stuff, I do that. But a lot of us, from what I've seen, are really interested in other worldly affairs, stuff that's going on in Ukraine, stuff that's going on in Israel, and then also national things. Because we're having conversations about, the abortion ban that's going, well, not the abortion ban, but certain states are having abortion bans, and, but it's interesting as, people from New Jersey are having conversations when that doesn't affect our day-to-day, which I think it's important to advocate for things that we believe in, but people are really just scatterbrained when it comes to local. Why do you think that Gen Z is so focused not on local? And why do you think it's becoming this push-away effect of people just not caring about it?
So I think Gen Z, as you all started to get involved in the politics more, I see Gen Z as more of the caring generation, hey, this isn't right and we're gonna fix it kind of thing. I've seen, younger people get involved, right? Yeah. We have our youngest person in Congress, Maxwell Frost, at 25 years old. When folks said he couldn't win, he got up and he won. And he pushes policies that are important to, younger communities. I think that a lot of it has to do with media and sound bites, right? We hear one of my favorites, what did she call it? The 6 Bs or whatever, that Congresswoman Crockett, and I can't think of exactly what it was. Yeah. I think it was bleach blonde, bad butch body or something like that. But it was hilarious when she said it. And I think it was rightly placed. I mean, if you're gonna come talking about someone's appearance with their eyelashes, get ready for them to come back. Is it really what we should see in our political system? No, right? Yeah. But that is what, folks go after. I mean, if you go and look at the retweets that were there after the repost on TikTok, the repost on Instagram, versus an actual policy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, we see the difference there. And so I think people, get engaged with the whole fun social media stuff where it's we're talking about real things that can potentially cost you more money on the local level, but because it's not as, glitzy and glamoury, you're not paying attention to it. So what I try to do is I try to use my social media in a way to educate, but to also, push issues out that are really happening. I mean, just to quickly touch on, the mental health thing again, and we've seen mental health funding constantly be cut, right?
Yep.
And it's like really has been no fix to it on the local level, state level, et cetera. So one of the things that we're trying to push on local level is to bring in mental health professionals to pair with police officers so that when we have, those traumatic incidents, we have a mental health professional to respond as well. Because we know that police aren't trained to deal with people having mental health episodes. We've seen it time and time again throughout the country. And so, I think in that way where we follow international politics, where we follow international current events, we should be bringing those things back to our communities and try to make a difference ahead of time before we, face an issue like that. So, I love that people are engaged, but, I just encourage people to get involved on your state and your local levels so that we know what's going on here. I mean, it's stressing me out, and today my mental health is not good because yesterday we watched a black man, innocent black man, killed by the government. And, the prosecutor tried to stop it, the court tried to stop it, and it went to the Supreme Court, and here's where I say that elections matter. It went to the Supreme Court, and the 3 justices that were appointed by the former president, they didn't find this to be an issue that they should look at. And so,
and also their governor was okay with it as
the
well.
governor was fine, yes, with killing an innocent man when, again, the court system is telling you, like, we shouldn't do this, don't do this, and they still follow through with it. And so if we're gonna follow international events and politics, we should follow things like that and make sure that we have a voice on it, and that we're standing up against injustices throughout the country. And, obviously we should be paying attention locally as well to make sure that it's not happening. And if it is, that we're there in time enough to counteract it, so.
Okay, and so for our last question, what do you...
Thank God, because I didn't want to end on that note, but it had to be said.
What is the advice for the Gen Z future politicians out there that want to become want to get into politics and want to starting at their local level?
Well, the first step is don't be a politician, be a public servant, but definitely run for office. Get involved, see what's going on in your local level. What is constantly overshadowed is our school boards, and I think that a lot of the stuff starts in our schools. So our school boards are important, right? We see that our education funding is constantly being cut, but we see public education dollars being spent on private schools, and so we need to be engaged for our children, if nothing else. We see exactly what's happening in the country, and it's pretty much like a recurring cycle. And so I encourage anybody that's eligible, 18 and older, right, to get involved, run for office, whether it be school board, whether it be your town council or township committee, whether it be your county offices. There's positions there. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Don't let anybody tell you to wait your turn, right? I've been told that. I don't wait in line unless I have to. We know the times that we have to wait in line, but running for office is not a time that you have to wait in line. If it's something you believe in, if it's something that you feel you can make a difference in, I encourage you to just get involved, and I'm happy to help you every step of the way.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
That was Derel Stroud from Neptune, New Jersey, our local committeeman. And next up, we're going to have our Gen Z jazz player, Jonah Chalnick.
I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. So tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick out of you? Some get a kick from cocaine. I'm sure that if I took one little sniff, it would bore me oh so terrifically too. Yet I get a kick out of you. I get a kick every time I see you standing there before me. And I get a kick, though it's clear to see you obviously do not adore me. And I get no kick in a plane, flying so high with some gal in the sky. That's my idea of nothing to do. Yet I get a kick out of you.
Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch Monmouth Talks. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about election anxiety. Election anxiety is a very serious thing that's going on in our nation right now because we all have to lock in for this election, okay guys? And pay attention to who we're voting for. Thank you and see you next time. And remember, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Ta-ta!